Hey, if everyone is going to take advantage of this Caitlin Clark situation and profit from her coming to their state, it might as well be me too. Remember when everyone said that no one wanted to play with Caitlin Clark? Well, Lexi Brown just blew that narrative to pieces. The Seattle Storm guard, who had doubts about Clark before, is now her biggest defender in the WNBA. What changed was that Brown actually played against her and witnessed firsthand what Clark brings to the court. And it's funny how quickly that's being proven incorrect. For example, when Lexi Brown wasn't exactly Team Caitlin Clark, she was part of that crowd that had doubts about the rookie phenom Brown. She wasn't hiding it either. She openly questioned whether Clark's hype was created by the media or if she was the real deal. I hope we spend a lot less time talking about fan bases and all the things that came with it, as well as the made-up garbage that was sold online and sold as if it was a significant part of the actual sport or the play decision. Basically, a little backstory about Lexi Brown is that she was one of the players who didn't really like Caitlin Clark like that or didn't really believe in her talents until she played her. But here's where the story takes an interesting turn. Brown's opinion didn't gradually change over a season or even a few games, but it drastically changed after just one game against Clark. Remember that for a moment. Professional sports veterans are often skeptical of college stars until they prove themselves at the next level. It took a season for a WNBA veteran to completely change her mind after playing alongside the rookie. Brown didn't hold back when she said, "Oh, damn, she is legit." She was a player for the Sparks, and before Caitlin Clark joined the WNBA, she was very, I won't say anti-Caitlin, but didn't believe the hype. However, what makes this so powerful isn't just that Brown changed her mind. It's the immediacy of her transformation. There was no slow warming up to Clark or an admission weeks later. One day she's doubting the hype, and the next she's telling everyone that Clark is the real deal. This wasn't a shrewd PR move. Rather, it was a genuine reaction from someone whose preconceptions had been completely shattered. She may have said some incorrect things at the time, but she definitely didn't believe the hype. The reason I like Lexi Brown is that it only took one game for her to realize that she is the scouting your boy. No, Caitlin Clark is real. Let's be honest, though, there are plenty of veterans in the WNBA who have doubled down on their... She had the integrity to publicly acknowledge that her initial assessment of the rookie was incorrect. This kind of honesty is refreshingly rare in professional sports, and after she played it, she became one of the most vocal players about Caitlin Clark. She really got on the positive side, or positive end of things, gave her nothing but praise, and was speaking against a lot of the nonsense that was going on with Caitlin Clark. Some players were criticizing Clark for refusing to acknowledge what they were seeing right in front of them, particularly since the Mystic CEO or owner was the only one to call out that bullshit. This is precisely why Brown's defense of Clark is so persuasive. Having been on both sides of the argument, she understands what it's like to doubt the hype and what it's like to have those doubts dispelled by seeing Clark's talent up close. Brown isn't speaking based on conjecture or social media highlights. Rather, she's speaking from firsthand experience against one of the most closely watched rookies in WNBA history. And that's one of the things where it's like, why I truly consider Lexi Brown to be one of the unique pieces in the WNBA, and I don't have anything like D. Tracy, where you can be wrong about a player, but then if you're proven wrong, don't stay wrong. What exactly did Brown see on that court that made her change her mind so drastically? And what did Clark show her that so many others are still refusing to acknowledge the transformation? It wasn't just about recognizing Clark's shooting or passing skills. It was a full recognition of her as a generational talent whose influence on the court goes beyond statistics. While Brown acknowledged Clark's generational talent on the court, Cheryl Swoops was busy spreading one of the most ludicrous lies in WNBA history, that no one wants to play with Caitlin Clark. This absurd claim spread like wildfire despite making no basketball sense at all, but have you ever stopped to wonder who exactly started this nonsense and why so many people ran? I truly love what she's doing for the league and for Caitlin Clark in terms of speaking out against the nonsense and really holding people accountable for what they're saying. That's not my point, though. There are a lot of other things going on, and players are saying things like, this isn't where I want to be over there. Yes, some new players are coming in and so on. Some of the key players on the Indiana Fever team are saying things like, I want to be here. This is where I want to be. To put this into perspective, Cheryl Swoops, one of the most well-known figures in women's basketball history, has stated that players wouldn't want to attend Indiana because of Clark. She literally said that no one wanted to go there with her, and consider for a moment that a WNBA legend is saying that free agents would not want to play with one of the league's most explosive passers and scorers. I mean, but I also know players on that team who are saying, oh, hell no, we don't want to just be here, because then when you factor in free agency, you got players on this Indiana Fever team who are getting paid in what? That are saying no. But players who will be free agents next year, this is where Lexi Brown didn't just defend Clark, she took a blowtorch to this ridiculous narrative. Brown's appearance on the same podcast network as Swoops Gill's Arena is what makes this so important. She was basically calling out her own colleague, risking professional relationships to stand up for the truth. This takes a lot of courage in a league where veterans' opinions are usually ignored, but you have to consider if you have the opportunity. For example, even if Indiana needed a center, they wouldn't be looking past Caitlin Clark. So you get what I'm saying. Abel, if it depends on whether it's a generation of talent or if you can sacrifice that for something that can help you right now. It makes sense to give up that it simply depends on the team's needs, but some players go above and beyond those needs, and she was one of them. Brown wasn't subtle about it either. She called out these Twitter finger critics who were spreading lies without any real basketball knowledge, asking why they wouldn't want to play with someone like that. Let's not be stupid here, Brown said, getting right to the point. What player wouldn't want to receive passes from one of the most inventive playmakers in the game? Basketball. So I believe they made the right decision because they knew her play would draw better players to Indiana. For example, they have had trouble getting players to sign with them because they are in Indiana and because those games were usually very empty. There wasn't any energy behind the Fever since they won their championship. However, Brown didn't stop there. She made it clear that these rumors weren't coming from real WNBA players, but rather from people who couldn't even be the manager for the JV basketball team. That's a brutal takedown that revealed exactly who was pushing. Kayan has essentially taken over and revitalized the entire team, and now it's a desirable place for free agents to come. I'm not sure what other people were thinking in the long run, but I don't know what they were thinking, because no one was going to go there with her, and they wouldn't want to play with someone like that. But why wouldn't you want to play with someone like that? Let's not be stupid here. After all, we're all basketball players, and I want to win. This wasn't just about defending a rookie. Instead of celebrating the entry of new talent into the league, Brown stood alone against a horde of doubters who were busy spreading lies. They said that those were Twitter fingers who didn't make the JV basketball team. They didn't know it couldn't even be the manager for the JV basketball team. The irony is just too perfect. As a WNBA legend, Brown challenged the entire power structure of the WNBA media and veteran players who seem determined to tear down Clark, who has already done so much for the league. Brown did more than just correct the record. She completely flipped the script on one of the most influential voices in women's basketball, which is that the players in the league need to start holding each other accountable and not allowing nonsense to be spewed on these podcasts and not be challenged. To play with Clark while an actual current player is saying the exact opposite is the difference between rumors from the sidelines and truth from someone who's actually on the court. Resurrection that demonstrates that the script flipping didn't end with words. The transformation of the Indiana Fever tells the true story. Remember when Indiana was essentially a basketball ghost town that free agents avoided like the plague? We all know one main person who was saying that no one wanted to play with the Indiana Fever, and that's basically Sheryl Swoopes. Additionally, Sheryl Swoopes shares the same podcast platform as Lexi Brown, though they may not be on it simultaneously. Beyond there, so it's really intriguing that she mentioned that no one wants to play for Indiana now that they're the WNBA's hottest ticket, and all of a sudden everyone wants to be a part of what the Indiana Fever are creating with Clark. Before Caitlin Clark ever set foot in Indianapolis, you could hear the echoes during Fever games. The stand was mostly deserted, the energy was non-existent, and the team had become an afterthought in the league. Free agents would literally cross Indiana off their list before negotiations even began. And the thing I'm seeing with the WNBA's like space is that a lot of people are changing their minds about C. Clark, and I understand that. Many people will call him out and say, hey, you weren't thinking this way the entire time, and that's okay. Enter Brown's audacious prediction that flew in the face of everyone who didn't want to play with Clark takes. She didn't just suggest that Clark might help, she flatly declared that